and welcome to the Communities podcast by Art Student Union. This episode is about breaking the barriers, resilience at UAL. It's all about celebrating the resilience success of the UL students from the first generation, low income and displaced backgrounds. I'm your host, Sayali Waghmare, Art Student Union's Student Communities Officer, and I am truly humbled to be joined by Miss Kimone, our incredible guest today. Hello, Kimone.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
To start, could you please tell us about yourself,
Yeah.
maybe your background, and what brought you to UL?
Yeah, so I am from Birmingham originally. I come from a Jamaican background. I have been studying marketing for about a couple years prior. So in college I studied fashion business and digital marketing, and then I've come to UAL to study fashion marketing and consumer behaviour. What brought me to UAL, I would say I think it was like a shot of hope, just to, see whether it was possible, to see what would happen if I did, and kind of get myself out there and give it a go. So, yeah.
So you see UAL as a hope for your career progression, or like to get into the creative industry?
Yeah, so I would say briefly, like in Birmingham, there's a lot more physical community support in terms of creativity, but in terms of academic, a lot of people tend to go away and kind of go to either Manchester or London. And so obviously I had applied to other places and stuff, but I just felt that a lot of the courses were within like media and communication, or were just focused strictly on fashion marketing, whereas UAL had this interesting twist of fashion marketing and consumer behaviour, so kind of getting that little niche or nuance within the subject. So yes,
More service oriented.
yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So, what's your experience like applying to UAL as a first generation and low income background student?
So I would say it was very nerve-wracking. I would say, I think at the time I was quite shy of who I would become, or how I would compare to other students. Coming from an ethnic minority, like it's very challenging to think yourself as good as someone else. And so coming from those backgrounds and applying to somewhere like UAL, which is kind of seen as obviously the second world's largest in arts industry and stuff like that in terms of education, so seeing it as like this big empire, quote unquote, it was very nerve-wracking and very scary. But I think I just told myself, if I say no now, then I'll say no forever. But if I say yes now, then it could mean a no, it could mean a yes. So, yeah.
That's so courageous of you. I know how it feels like when, stepping out of your comfort zone and saying like, yes, I can do this and I can go there.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. How you apply to scholarship, bursaries, or financial aid at UAL? How it helped you in your journey?
So I would say I've applied for the bursaries. I didn't get an opportunity to apply for the scholarships, but the bursaries, they had pros and cons. I'll say there's a twist to them, but the pros were obviously you get the financial aid in terms of accommodation, in terms of public transport, getting here to there. It's very supportive in that route, but also there's a con in terms of like you get fixated on how much it costs than what you've actually came to do. So in a way, I can't afford public transport, but okay, what can I do whilst I'm at home, whilst I am studying? What can I do during that process? And so there's a kind of pros and cons to it, that you feel like you have to rely on it, but the pro is obviously having that financial support from the uni, from the backing of the uni, that allows you to, push forward in your education.
How do you manage your financial pressure while excelling in your studies?
It's been, I think, similar to the last question, it's been like difficult. It's not been easy. But it's been a benefit of understanding that obviously not everyone gets the benefits of the world, and having to understand, okay, this is kind of the making of who you are, and how you persevere, and understanding your resilience towards your studies, and how you believe in yourself and how much you believe yourself. So I would say how I manage it would be, I try not to think about it as daunting as it is. I'm not going to try and say that it's not, but I try not to think about it in a negative light. I try to see, okay, how well am I adjusting to this situation? How well am I providing myself some belief system, some faith system that says, okay, I may be here now, but I know where I want to be. I know who I want to become during that time period.
That drive is really important, because so many students, because we at SU see that when the report recently released, we say that it impacts students' capacity of doing their studies or their work, or it affects them very massively while studying at maybe their student experience, maybe academic, or maybe social life. But looking at drive inside you, like, no, I'm doing this for a reason and I want to get there. That's so incredible.
Yeah, I feel like it also is important just in terms of not taking too much of a focus on social media, because I think a lot of, well, for me anyway, a lot of things for me is that I can compare myself a lot, and it can get very daunting when you're even comparing financial situations during the university period, and you try and think, oh, well, they're doing this and we're going to the same uni, and how am I not doing this and that? Well, it's just like, okay, you may not have access to that now, but what are you driving for? What's your actual focus of goal? What are you hoping to do? Even if you may not know what career you want to go for, understanding, okay, where do I want to be by the end of this year or by the end of this month, can actually allow you to narrow down your focus of what everybody else is doing. Just because everyone has different seasons in life where they may feel on top of the world and then they may feel the lowest, and understanding that everybody has their own journey and giving yourself grace and everybody else grace for that.
I'll give you clap. No, that's very well said. Knowing your own capacity, practicality, and still keeping it real for yourself. Yeah. So, going on to your creative practice, has your background influenced your creative and academic work? If so, how have it channeled into your practice?
So I come from a Jamaican background, I don't know whether I said, but we're very expressive, very loud group of people. We love to talk, we love to communicate, we love to say things how they are, and I think channeling the understanding that I'm not afraid to say what I'm going to say, but coming with a respect of, I understand where you're coming from. I think I've channeled that within just my creative practice, because I think of things very visually, and so because I've seen things kind of visually, it kind of channels in that kind of way. In terms of academic practice, I would say in terms of communities, I would say with how I have relationships with other people, it's helped me in my studies in terms of like surveys and interviews. So for example, I've done in our fashion cultures and histories project, I did a study based on how black men see their hair as a political status in today, and having those interviews and having those conversations, just like with obviously my background of being a Caribbean, channeling that, okay, I'm not afraid to speak on something I really care about, and allowing others to share their experiences and situations along with it. I think that's been my strength in practice.
Okay. So we see that, managing your coursework, then your extracurricular activities and your part-time jobs still can be very difficult. So what strategies helped you to integrate into your UL social life? Do you attend any clubs, societies, events, or how do you manage to have that your own community around you?
I would say I kind of went to more networking events. I think just in terms of, I'm not really I used to be very sporty, but I kind of moved from that. But it was, for me, I hadn't really been around people who spoke about marketing, and shared the knowledge, and been around those, even just the creative design or technology or development spaces where marketing is involved, and I kind of wanted to push that barrier ever so slightly, and kind of speak to other people, and not just get an understanding of who they are, but how they channel that creativity through their clothes. I would say that's been an easy barrier push for me in terms of building friendships, because we kind of have this similar understanding of, we love to create, but we just create differently. So I would say that's been my strategy. In terms of societies, I am a part, I did join the community, the championships for the netball.
Oh,
yeah. It's because I used to play netball, goalkeeper. But yeah, I'd say just kind of pushing out of like, okay, not everything needs to be academic, but kind of pushing that barrier of, okay, what's something that I did enjoy to do? And I think it's always good to do something that's off the radar, just not something that you do constantly, because it allows you to be a different side of yourself within the professional situation that you may be in.
Yeah, it keeps you more open to more opportunities, and also be like, okay, I got this problem, but they can't stay. I need to enjoy this stuff as well. I need to explore myself as well.
100%.
How have you built a support network at UAL or at your course? And who has been the most influential in your journey?
Ooh, good question. I would say, I think I like listening to other people. I think just understanding other people's stories has kind of allowed me to build a network in terms of, okay, what can I learn from you as much as you can learn from me? I think that's a great basis of friendship, that you learn as much, you listen as much as you speak to each other. I would say influential. I would say, if not my parents, gotta give good credit.
You can give them as well. I mean, you can say.
Yeah. My parents have been incredible in terms of just the support and interest, and I don't know, just I think because they're two very persevering people, I come from the natural drive that I'm not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
But then aside from them, I would actually say my lecturers. I'm going to have to give a shout out to my lecturers, because I think channeling, I think they allow you to ask different questions that they may not agree with or you may not agree with, but allowing you to kind of, okay, why is this way? And then questioning that and whether you believe that. And I feel like that kind of helps in terms of academic writing, because if you have teachers or lecturers, I should say, that allow you to question even your own opinion, then it allows you to find more opinions to back up with what you're speaking about. So
yeah, that's it. That's amazing. Yeah, it was more like when I formed this question, it's like, because while I was studying, I had my like friends group, which we used to call like, this is my tribe.
Yeah.
Like, they are always there to support me, whether it's academic, whether it's personal, like, and also during the dissertation time as well, like for the master students, it's like the biggest period of time when you are like so want to make that work happen, like having that support system around you, like who are like continuously, constantly pushing you to go forward. But yeah, well said. Thank you. How do you stay motivated during your overwhelming moments?
for the first part, I don't. I just want to make that clear. I do not stay motivated. Like in the first week, I'm stressing out. I want to be as honest as possible because I do not always have it together. But in terms of staying motivated, I think I just tell myself, you've come this far. Like, you've come this far. Don't give up on yourself now. Like, I would rather I fail, like do it, give it my all and then fail, then not give it my all and then just fail anyway. I think it cheats you out of that experience of understanding how far you're willing to take whatever you're trying to do. I think in overwhelming moments, I think the most important thing is to not condemn yourself. It's very hard to do because in a way you're always telling yourself, oh, I can't do this and this is too much, and it's a lot of voices in your own head. But in those moments, remind yourself of what you're grateful for in that one day, what you're grateful for in that 1 week. Have conversations with other people. I feel like a lot of people doubt distracting, because in a way distracting people it's like, oh, well, you don't want to get distracted in case you get too turned off or overturned or taking the wrong lane or stuff. But I feel like it's a great way to sometimes your best answers. Like if you're having a conversation about something else and then you turn back to your work and be like, oh wait, we just had a conversation. This can relate in this type of way. I feel like that will help in terms of overwhelming situations of just, getting distracted sometimes.
Okay. Getting distracted is the best way to go.
Yeah. Not always.
Avoid overwhelming situation. Okay. I'm learning new stuff as well. I'll try that.
It's not always great. Like if it's like due tomorrow, don't. But I feel like sometimes it takes the pressure off in terms of not focusing too much on what you're going through. Because I feel like even just like when we're speaking to other people, having a 5-minute conversation and then be like, yeah, I've been doing this, you automatically go into like a decompression mode, I'd say. And it's like, okay, I'm now talking about it. So now when I'm going to do it, I've already asked for the advice of somebody else and then going into it. So I feel like there's a nuance in it.
I get what you mean. It's like before starting my this work as a communities officer, I used to think a lot about myself, like, okay, this is what we are going through, okay, exam period, this and that. But since I started talking to more students at UL and getting to know their background and like what they might be going through and hearing those stories, it feels like, come on, your problem is like nothing. Think about the people who are going through those stuffs and they have to actually face it. So it's like bucket it up.
Yeah. I don't think problems are nothing. I just want to say that, like, I think you go through things and I think, yes, compared to others, they may be smaller, but they're still an experience. And I feel like you shouldn't doubt that experience. But in a way, understanding other experiences in a similar way that you said it, like, understanding other experiences, understand that you may not be you could be at a worse situation, but not in a rude way.
Do you feel that there is enough representation and understanding of the students from the similar background?
I would say amongst student relationships, I would say yes. But in terms of university representation, I would say it's 50-50. I think we don't necessarily count as much the amount of international students that we have. I would say yes, there's a lot of focus in terms of what we supply and what's here and stuff, but in terms of the representation of even just the international students, the students that are coming from different cities to be here, the lack of focus on those different communities and what they bring to the university, because a lot of times, yes, the university provides so much, but a lot of the community brings so much to the educational system. Like, for me, example, coming from, I think I spoke to you this before, but coming from like Birmingham, the cultural shock of the behaviours in London compared to Birmingham, I bring a certain sense of, community and hello, how are you, understanding, listening, whereas there may be someone from a different culture or from a different city, from a different area, who may bring a certain resilience that comes from that being there, different things or different historical events that may change, and I think like there's a lack of representation in that sense. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
What has UL done well in supporting you, and what could be improved?
I think whilst I was going through those overwhelming moments, I did reach out a lot to the student services. I feel like they give you the time of day to just kind of really understand where you're going through, but they also give you an understanding that they are not the answer. They just give you possible ways to the solution. And I feel like that was important to learn as a student, that your teachers are not your therapist, but they're there to kind of bring support and kind of shed light in maybe their own experiences and stuff like that. So I would say student services has been a really big help. I would say in terms of, so I have dyspraxia, and I kind of learned that during my second year, through the processes of I forgot what it's called, the disability officers, and they do
disability services.
Yeah. So they have an assessment and stuff, and I feel like having those opportunities in place to kind of understand more about yourself, I feel like, yes, there may be a negative outlook, but if you really look at it, it's understanding how best they can teach you, how best that you can learn, how best that you can further in your education or just in life. I feel like the officers and the student services have been amazing in terms of allowing you to explore who you want to be, not just to mention the library services as well in exploring that. There's this really good book, so I have to shout out, Cultural Perspective of Dyslexia, really good book. But like having those resources and books and services that allow you to grow and understand yourself better, as a student of life, but as a student within the university, is really good.
Thank you.
No.
Looking back on how far you have come, what's the most important lesson or advice you would share with the incoming students who share your background?
Don't give up. I feel like that's, I'd say don't give up. I think, like I said before, you've come this far. I would say it may look like an obstacle now, but it will be a lesson in the future. I would say don't dim your light for anybody. I would say ask all the questions that you need to ask. I would say understand what you're here to do. Like, I came with the initial idea of just coming to just learn. Like, I think a lot of people had the end goals of, I want to be this person. I was like, I just want to learn what I want to do, and that was like as closer to the goal as I've achieved. But like, don't give up on yourself. It's gonna turn into a lesson, and give yourself grace. That's the most important. Give yourself grace no matter what, because we're all going through life for the first time as well. So
thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us today, because your honesty and your strengths is exactly why we say stories has power. Stories has that spark that inspires us, connects us, and changes us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. If this episode resonates with you, don't forget to check out all the episodes at the Communities Podcast on RSSU YouTube channel. And for the student services that we have mentioned, please check out the description for the links and all the resources. Thanks for being here. We see you, we celebrate you, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.